How's it going, everybody? The Warden then just finished and there are quite a few things to go over. Here's the timeline for the new season, and the two dates you need to pay attention to are this Thursday, March 17th, the launch of the new season, and then March 31st, when the new testing grounds start. Those will last a week. At the beginning of the season, we get the crossplay feature, which we've talked about at length the last week, so I won't be covering this today. You can check the last two videos for that and their blog post in case there's still anything unclear. They haven't talked about cross progression or cross save as of yet. No news on that front. Then we also get the Dominion changes that we've had in 3 TGs already. And then also the first hero skin for Warden. I'll talk about that one at the very end, as that's just cosmetics really and not all too important in terms of gameplay. Same goes for the Hero Fest. And then in 2 weeks, the testing grounds, Conqueror and Shaolin. I might have to say a few things here, and I'm not expecting any sympathy from you guys. Before we get into all the juicy details, I want to quickly talk about today's sponsor, NordVPN. They are celebrating their 10th anniversary, so I guess they must be doing something right. So why would you need a VPN as someone who probably mostly plays games, be that on PC, console or mobile phone? For one, many games have regional based matchmaking, so if you decide to play at 2 AM in the morning, your queues might not be the fastest to pop. Just go over to a different region, currently in their primetime hours, and gratify them with your new amazing connection. Another and the most obvious benefit of VPNs is security though. Peer-to-peer is a cheap option for many games to host their multiplayer sessions, but these also tend to broadcast your IP to the random people you play with. This includes masterpieces like the 10 out of 10 game Elden Ring, opening you up for every kind of potential abuse. That will be a thing of the past, as all they get is the IP of your VPN. For more benefits, including many outside of the gaming world, check out the link down below in the description. You get 72% off when signing up and an additional month for free. Should you not be happy with the services provided, you have a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you minimize your risks, both with NordVPN as well as with the deal itself. All links down below. Check them out. With that out of the way, let's talk Dominion changes. As previously mentioned, these will now go live and are not another testing ground. JC said that they didn't want to push such a major change during the Dominion series, but as that's been wrapped up now, we are finally getting these. The goal was to have a more balanced renown system, that is why class-specific renown was removed, defender renown was changed, and no matter how hard we pushed for some form of it to stay, Ubisoft stayed strong and didn't budge. But that's all old news. Let's look at what we get on Thursday. Here is the full table of noteworthy renown sources. What stands out is that kills and assists are now rewarding way more renown. We get 20 per kill and 10 per assist. Defender renown, as I just said, is completely removed now. We used to get a renown bonus depending on which class dealt the final blow on an opponent that died in a zone that was controlled by your team. I've made a video explaining this quite a while back, so if you are interested what exactly got removed and why this was the biggest factor in the renown gain for such a long time, please check out that old video. In the previous TGs, contesting zones became a main source, and never-ending fights were not only a common occurrence, but also something teams tried to force. They might still do that, and stalling a fight will become an even bigger thing. That is also one of the reasons why capture timings of zones will not be changed. They remain the same as they are right now. What they did here is split up the renown depending on whether you are defending a zone you own or are contesting a zone the opposing team owns. Defending your own zone is still more valuable in terms of renown than contesting an enemy one. We are looking at 36 per minute compared to 30 per minute. Contesting a zone nobody owns gives no bonus, from what I understood. What did get a significant buff is boosting a zone. You get 42 renown per minute while boosting. Remember that this is your own personal renown. We are not talking about the score for your team. Those numbers you'll get in just a bit. This is all about unlocking your feats at the moment. Revives got a nerf down to 20, and rallying as a little catch-up mechanic at the end got even out to a 30 renown bump. I've never seen this make a big difference, but we never really paid too close attention to it either. The fact that you managed to rally is important enough, the renown is just a tiny bonus. Then all special renown bonuses, that huge list on the left, got removed. All we're keeping is the revenge bonus, streak breaker, and the comeback bonus. These are standardized on all classes. The feat thresholds are lower now, meaning you unlock them earlier. 50 for tier 1, 120 for tier 2, 210 for tier 3, and 320 for tier 4. The discrepancy between maps when it comes to feat availability should be somewhat evened out now. Mid-focused maps tended to have slower renown gain because of less point defenses. With the increased kill and assist rewards, this shouldn't make too much of a difference anymore. We did have to complain of slow feat unlocks in the TGs though. Let's hope this alleviates this problem. And then as a last thing, the changes to the scoring system. These are the points for your team needed to win the match. Controlling points went up in terms of point gain, while boosting went down. So you do get more personal renown for doing it, but less team score. Holding the minion lane does give an increased amount now, the same as boosting a point. These changes should shift the focus for most teams more towards the mid lane. Big team fights with probably the same meta heroes as we're seeing now, at least the top two will most likely remain. Whether this now opens the doors for quick backcaps as the risk of being killed on an opposing point is no longer given to such a massive degree, remains to be seen. Once I know more about how this plays out, I'll do another video highlighting what exactly you should pay attention to in a match and what you can base your decisions on. Because this does flip everything on its head. Many might not notice these changes as very little strategy is applied in most matchmaking games, but the feat unlocks being different might be enough of a motivator for players to look up what exactly happened. Let me know your thoughts on these changes. I think these are better than we had in the previous iterations of the testing grounds. Now we need a lot of games to see if there is a major flaw somewhere that needs addressing. Alright then, moving on to the 2 reworks in the testing grounds on March 31st. Let's do Conk first, in case anyone feared that this hero might become even more oppressive. Well, fear not, this is a neutered Conk compared to the last version. Let's start with the charged heavy. Conk can no longer charge mid-chain. The combo heavies are also no longer undodgeable. That property was kind of redundant because of the in-chain charging, but seeing as they removed both is a bit of a head scratcher. What they also did was reduce the range on the fully charged heavy and the in-chain bash. Considering what insane range Pirate has on her moves or Blackbriar's soft feint bash, this is also quite baffling to see Ubisoft make this decision here. Next is the infinite light chain. That one has been removed. That chain was pretty much irrelevant at high level and very oppressive for new players. So that's a good change. Conqueror now has a 2 light chain that can branch into the infinite heavy chain or a bash. He is keeping the in-chain bash version from the previous testing round. You can throw that one after every light or heavy. And the dodge version goes back to the current live one, meaning it's only 100 ms startup. Front dodge, that is. Because of the ability to continue their chain with the bash, this might still feel quite annoying to newer players or ones with bad hardware. The bash follow-up is no longer unblockable and no longer armored. They didn't want him to be a ganker. I have to hear a more in-depth explanation here, so we'll just leave that comment as is. Then a massive nerf to the full block. No longer can Conk dodge out of it. It was insanely good and is now non-existent. Leaving full block also had its recovery increased by 100 ms. Understandable, since you could shorten all your recoveries simply by tapping the full block key. And then zone stamina down to 20. Since it has lost all the other properties, this is the bare minimum, I'd say. Nothing to write home about though. So, to be totally honest, this is not it. This Conk is not gonna cut it in the current roster. The recovery cancel the full block after attacks might seem neat, but Aramusha can already do that. is better at that, I guess, at least from what we can see here. I'm not arguing that the first iteration wasn't a little bit over the top, but this one here, well, this is almost Lawbringer tier offense. I think Ubisoft went too conservative out here. The hero is not exactly a crowd favorite, quite the opposite actually, so the pushback might be even bigger if he was overly strong. But unless I'm missing something obvious here, I don't see this hero anywhere near the top in any tier list. He will get eaten alive by unblockables in teamfights with no option to dish out damage himself, as everything is interruptible. I don't see any big hitboxes, I don't see any armor, and the full block is non-existent with orange moves everywhere. Moving on, Shaolin then, that one looks better at least. First thing, top light is enhanced, so you can now go into chi from a block again. I wish they'd have chosen the side ones for this. They are unique with the triple chain, but somewhat underwhelming overall. Then the side dodge heavy now chains, which also means you can enter chi stance from it. Then chi stance itself, all lights are now 500 ms and enhanced no matter the side. No longer free parries depending on who you ask. I heard people complain about the animation, but they seem fine. I've seen worse. Remember Conqueror. For the heavies, all are 600 ms and undodgeable. Top is no longer unblockable. They have not shown a feint on stream, so we'll have to wait and test that ourselves. The kick remains the same. What's not the same is the follow-up from it, meaning the sweep. It's no longer bash into bash, but now you can chain into the sweep after every chi attack. It's an 800 ms move now, and drumroll, it is feintable. The first non-chargeable bash that is feintable. Do you hear that, Lawbringer mains? Do you realize what this could potentially mean for you? But it's Shaolin instead. That sweep no longer goes into neutral and those finicky to land lights. It has a dedicated heavy follow-up that chains or goes back into chi stance. Now, depending on how good the move still is at sweeping teammates, this could mean that sweep becomes a great tool for longer ganks. All attempts at this with the current version failed spectacularly, but this might change now. Then some quality of life changes. Running attack now properly chains into the lights, and the triple side light input should now be easier to perform. On top of all this, you can now dodge out of chi stance, so more things link into it and you have additional options out of it, letting you potentially deal with the usual unblockable attacks flying around in teamfights. And as a last thing, the zone attack. I agree with them that it's a little bit of a weird attack, with some parts of it being parryable under certain conditions, but undodgeable. It definitely is a complicated one. So now they slowed it down significantly, the second and third hit that is. They also made the consecutive strikes target swappable. Whether we can dead angle with this now and how big the hitbox or trajectory will be, we can only guess. For what it's worth, it'll definitely be better for minion clearing. All other aspects, I hold back my judgment for now. But that's it for Shaolin. I can see him struggle out of neutral still, and the options to go into chi, while increased, might not be enough just yet. Entering chi from a feint has always been an idea floating around. Once we get to play these two reworks, we can hopefully form a better opinion. Neither of these two look particularly broken or oppressive. Both of these are more on the conservative side in terms of power, but Shaolin is definitely the better looking of the two. Alright, then the video is quite long already, so let's quickly cover the other two topics. First, the hero skin. The first one they release is for Warden. We will get one each season, so 4 in the first year, which isn't that many to say the least. The armor and weapon are fixed on this one. What you can still change is the material color, the color swatch, and the effects. What you can also see is the new material color coming out soon, I assume. That would be the dark grey here. The perks are taken from your currently equipped loadout. The skin is applied on top of it and basically overrides the fashion you have equipped. Opinions here will probably differ greatly, but it's definitely looking special. Price is 25,000 steel or you can buy it in a bundle for cash as well. You get some champ status and a few crates as well. Then for the Hero Fest, this is a mix of a sale and a little bit of extra content for a hero. Here we have the Aramusha example. The hero will be free to play on that day, is cheaper to buy, and gets a unique execution. Whether it'll always be an execution or maybe armor drops, they haven't said. What we can assume is that this means 4 new unique executions in this first season of Year 6. Let me know your opinion on the timetable of those two things, or opinion in general. I'll leave you with this for now. Don't forget to check out the sponsor NordVPN, all links down below, and I hope everyone will enjoy crossplay this Thursday. Having said all that, I hope the video was interesting. Thanks for watching. Laters everybody.